Comfort, a state of ease and freedom from constraint. What makes you feel this way? Maybe it's a hot shower after a long day of work, or sitting on the couch with hot chocolate on a cold winter day. Well, for me, a very strong sense of comfort is actually just nostalgia. Ever get bored at home and start reminiscing on the past? Well, I did recently, and it made me spend a lot more money than I should have on SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Wet Edition, and a bundle of Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy, Crash Bandicoot 4, and Spyro the Reunited Trilogy. Because I have a little bit of a spending issue, everything I see that might look even semi-fun, I have to buy. And it leads to a lot of refunds or just games I don't play. You might be asking, wow, why 8 games that are considered kid games? Well, I was once a baby boy myself, and yes, still want to feel that sense of wonder I did when I was younger. I remember playing Crash Bandicoot 3 and Spyro Ripto's Revenge on the PlayStation 2 because we didn't have a PlayStation 1, and I just remember playing SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom and being in absolute awe. The crazy thing is that even though I am now playing the remasters, well, I guess remakes, but honestly, it's debatable because they're the same games, just different coat of paint. I still feel comfort from these games. I just remember all of the feelings I had when I was younger and how much I loved the most simple of things. I bet we all have a game like that. A game you played as a child that now you play for comfort. Some of it is nostalgia that brings us comfort, but what about other games that give you comfort? Games that recently came out. Well, there's multiple genres and ways that this can be achieved, but it is also very different for every person. A lot of people like games like Minecraft, Terraria, Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, and Subnautica. These games I consider creation simulators. The comfort comes from the process of building, collecting, upgrading, and repeating. The satisfaction of creating your new Minecraft world, then after hours you create the best cobblestone penis the world of Minecraft have ever seen. Just looking at your creations and the progress in a world that in the beginning gave you nothing, but at the same time it gave you everything. Let me explain. You start with an empty inventory and no direction of where to go, no map markers, nothing. But it gives you a sense of wonder on your first playthrough that usually can't be recreated. You have the entire world that you can do anything you want with. Just complete freedom. Almost everyone's playthroughs are different when it comes to the outcome, unless it was intentionally created to be similar to somebody else's. It's your world and you can do whatever you want. Creating a world is a fresh start and new opportunities for creativity. That's what I think the comfort of builders comes from. The freedom and achievement of the things you create. Now, for the complete opposite. Games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War 2018, and Spider-Man. These games are very scripted and controlled in almost every aspect. The story takes up a big percentage of the game and is very cinematic. For Spider-Man specifically, the recent Insomniac games, which are very story-driven games, but still do have an open world with side quests, but still you feel very controlled when it comes to the missions, which are like roller coasters and more about set pieces. That is especially true with Naughty Dog games. In The Last of Us, the combat is good, but not so good that it's the reason you're going to be playing the game. You play the game for the incredible story which is told with Joel and Ellie. The main thing you do is get engrossed in the characters and their lives, and you feel like you are actually a part of the world or you're just playing a movie. The comfort for me in these games, like The Last of Us, is just gameplay that entertains you just enough to not get boring, then the movie quality cutscenes, which is equivalent to watching a movie and taking breaks in certain parts to do something a little more entertaining. I honestly can't really say much about these because they are not my preferred comfort games because I really don't have patience for them. Next is a mix of the last two types of comfort games. I am now talking about games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Breath of the Wild. These types of games I consider immersive, free adventure with survival elements, which yes I know is the longest genre name you have ever heard. Even though Red Dead Redemption 2 is very scripted in the missions, every other part of the game is so immersive. Having to bathe yourself, brush your horse, feed yourself and your horse. It seems tedious and yes, admittedly it is a lot of the time, but it also just makes you feel like the protagonist. Then there are side things you can do like hunting animals and selling their meat and hides, or cooking it and eating it. Then you can do a few bounties. You can hunt them down, then bring them back dead or alive. And it really makes you feel like you are in the Wild West. Random events that feel natural and sometimes give a good story, or honestly are just flat out entertaining. These games give people that comfort of feeling like you are in a different world and or a different person. It helps people escape the monotony of the real world and feel something a little more exciting. Now for some real thinkers. Puzzle games like Portal 1 and 2. Honestly, I am not too cultured in puzzle games, so those are the only two I could think of. Get off my dick. Portal is a simple game with a pretty simple story, and I also have a video on it from 2 years ago. So go watch that after this. Games like Portal make it so you have to think of a solution, which granted the first few chambers were honestly brain dead and not very hard at all to do, but then it ramps up quite a bit just a few chambers later. If you make it through the entire game, you can also do advanced chambers, which are ones from the campaign but forged in hell, making them way more difficult. I remember spending so much time trying to figure out the puzzles, and when I finally got the solution, it gave me a surge of adrenaline and happiness. You start to feel like Albert Einstein II, the way you easily, in quotes, went through the chambers when in reality it took you an hour plus a YouTube video. Portal 2 has a multiplayer which is half fun, then half infuriating when you try to explain what they need to do, but they always just sit there like they don't know what they're doing and then somehow completely ruin the entire experience. I'm getting so mad for no reason. These games give me comfort when I play ones I played a while ago and try to remember the solutions. And for some reason, it always gives me joy. Now for probably the most popular type of gamers now. For my favorite sweaty gamers, we have competitive games like Marvel Rivals, Tekken 8, Rainbow Six Siege, and Call of Duty. These games in the competitive scene has a big skill gap. Less for Call of Duty because it's very fucking brain dead at times, but for others it is very, very true. In Marvel Rivals, you need to learn how to counter ultimates and what it sounds like when they are used. Plus, you have to get good at playing multiple roles because a lot of the time you will have to switch to a different role, mainly support. In Tekken 8, there is a ton of movement that you have to learn. God, so daunting. You have to sidestep, Korean backdashing, which I'm not being racist, that's actually what it's called, look it up, and wave dashing, which are all difficult in their own right, but then you have to learn counters to almost every character, so you don't keep getting destroyed. Then we have Rainbow Six Siege. There is a response that you should be doing to everything that happens in the game. There are a ton of quiet noises that you are expected and need to recognize, and then there is multiple ways to aim and peek angles. There's peeker's advantage, and then there is also a wide amount of operators and abilities you have to use correctly, and if the other team uses them, you have to know how to counter it. All of these games have skill gaps, but when you finally start getting good after hours, it is a feeling unlike any other. It is against other people, so when you start winning, you feel like you are the best player in the world, and that you are carrying your team even if you've done at the least, but you just got a few kills and you didn't die much, so you're doing good, little buddy. Yeah, go back in your dungeon. The achievement and the feeling of being knowledgeable and good at a game is what gives me comfort when I play these games. It might be different for others, but I feel from the majority of players, it is probably the same feeling that I have. With all this being said, I just want to thank you for getting to the end of my video. It really means a lot to me. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. I am still trying to get to 200 subscribers by March, but now that it is only a week away, I don't think it's possible, but please help me. Alright, that's all. See ya.